On November 12, 2021, Ashley Wadsworth, a bright 19-year-old girl from Vernon, British Columbia, Canada, boarded a plane to the United Kingdom. After years of online conversations, she was finally going to meet Jack Settle, the boy she had met on social media when she was just 12 years old. Their friendship had grown from simple chats to deep talks, from playful messages to romantic promises. Ashley was full of hope and excitement, unaware that this meeting would soon spiral into a nightmare. Ashley was born on July 25, 2002. She grew up in a big, close-knit family. Her parents, Kenneth and Christy, had always surrounded her with love and support. Ashley had an older sister, Haley, and dozens of cousins, aunts, and uncles who lived nearby and shared every holiday and family event together. She was cheerful, outgoing, and loved by many. Sports, outdoor adventures, and music were her passions. Tennis, swimming, horseback riding, and skiing filled her days with joy. She was also active online, sharing jokes, memes, and moments from her life. Jack Settle entered Ashley's life when she was just a child. Born on January 9, 1999, Jack was 5 years older than Ashley. His family life was troubled. His father had died in 2019, and his relationship with his mother, Tracy Dalton, was strained. He had a brother, Jordan, with whom he did not speak, and a sister, Nadia, who was one of the few people he kept in touch with. Jack was known to have a wild side, charming but unpredictable, friendly yet prone to dark moods and fits of anger. Their friendship started in 2015 through a friend who introduced them on social media. For Ashley, connecting with Jack was normal. Just like many teens forming bonds on the internet, they shared interests and feelings. Even though Ashley used the family computer while Jack had a smartphone, her family knew about Jack and trusted their friendship, unaware of the storm brewing beneath. Over the years, Ashley and Jack's conversations grew more frequent and intimate. They talked on video calls, sent gifts, and shared secrets. Jack gave Ashley teddy bears and purses, symbols of affection that made her feel special. But jealousy shadowed Jack's love. Despite dating other girls, he claimed Ashley was the one he wanted most. His mood swings grew worse, sometimes explosive and violent. Ashley's family warned her, worried about Jack's controlling nature. Ashley tried to keep the peace, insisting he was kind at heart. At 16, Jack tattooed Ashley's name on his arm, a gesture that worried her parents. Arguments between the two often ended in Ashley blocking Jack on social media, only for him to find new ways to contact her. Jack's jealousy sometimes turned into physical violence, though Ashley kept silent, afraid to break up the family's image of him. Ashley was a hard-working girl, juggling school, part-time jobs, and her growing faith as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She planned to study law after high school, dreaming of a future far from the chaos of her relationship. But when she finally decided to visit Jack in the UK, her family's concerns intensified. The trip was meant to celebrate Jack's birthday and bring their years of virtual love into the real world. Ashley arrived in England on a 6-month tourist visa, full of hope. Jack lived alone in a modest apartment in Chelmsford, Essex, a neighborhood known for its troubles. At first, Jack was affectionate and caring. The couple shared romantic moments, took selfies, and even adopted a kitten named Winston. Ashley stayed connected to her family through video calls, painting a picture of happiness. Yet beneath the surface, Jack's mood darkened. He stopped going out, spent his days smoking illegal substances and playing video games. He isolated Ashley, forbidding her from attending church or meeting new friends, though Ashley secretly kept in touch with church missionaries via text. Jack controlled her phone, making her delete messages and hide her friendships. The abuse escalated. Jack's violent jealousy triggered brutal attacks, leaving Ashley bruised and frightened. She confided in friends, but hid the truth from her parents, afraid they would hate Jack. Her sister Haley pleaded with her to come home, but Ashley held on to the hope that love and time could heal Jack. Ashley's first weeks in the UK were filled with excitement and hope, but beneath the surface, things began to change in ways she never expected. Jack's charming mask slowly slipped away, revealing a darker, more controlling side that Ashley had only glimpsed during their years of online communication. At first, the couple explored the city together. Ashley's social media was full of pictures, smiling faces, embraces, romantic moments by the riverside and parks of Chelmsford. Friends and family back in Canada saw these photos and breathed a sigh of relief. Ashley looked happy, alive, and free. Yet, those closest to her sensed something was wrong. Jack lived alone in a small annex of a public housing estate. The neighborhood was rough, and many residents kept to themselves, wary of outsiders. Jack had no steady job. He survived on government benefits and the occasional support from his mother, Tracy, who lived nearby. His days were mostly spent indoors. In the cramped apartment filled with tattoos and signs of a restless soul, Ashley quickly realized that Jack's energy had changed. He no longer wanted to explore the city or meet new people. Instead, he preferred to stay home, chain-smoking and spending hours on video games. The playful boy she thought she knew had been replaced by a silent, brooding man who grew more distant by the day. This shift affected Ashley profoundly. She loved the outdoors, the fresh air, and meeting new people. But Jack forbade her from going to church, even though she had recently been baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He told her it wasn't safe, that strangers could hurt her. Ashley obeyed, though secretly she exchanged messages with missionaries from her church, craving the connection and support she was being denied. Jack's control extended beyond physical boundaries. He monitored Ashley's phone, checking her messages and deleting conversations he didn't approve of. Ashley felt trapped, her digital world shrinking to the limited space Jack allowed. The girl who had once eagerly shared memes and photos online now hid her activity. Fearful of angering Jack, the abuse escalated with frightening speed. Jack's jealousy turned violent. One night, when Ashley blocked 2 unknown numbers on her phone, Jack discovered the act and accused her of betrayal. In a furious rage, he beat her, leaving bruises and cuts she hid beneath long sleeves. Despite the violence, Ashley clung to memories of the boy she fell in love with online. She told friends that Jack had a good heart beneath his anger. But behind closed doors, the truth was darker. Ashley created a secret social media profile, a hidden diary of pain, where she documented bruises and whispered fears. To her sister Haley, Ashley revealed parts of her suffering, but begged her not to tell their parents. She didn't want to break the illusion of the perfect boyfriend. The tension in Jack's apartment grew unbearable. On more than one occasion, neighbors heard shouting and crashes through the thin walls. Yet, Ashley's pleas for help were silenced by fear and hope that things would improve. In late December 2021, the situation worsened. Jack overdosed on anti-anxiety medication. Ashley called an ambulance, and Jack was rushed to the hospital. For a moment, it seemed things might change. Ashley became his caregiver, administering medication and watching over him during recovery. But even this fragile care was shrouded in secrecy. Ashley hid the hospital stay from her family and friends, afraid that revealing too much would end the relationship. In early January 2022, violence returned with renewed force. During a heated argument, Jack smashed a beer glass over Ashley's head. The bleeding girl called her sister Haley via video call, tears streaming down her face. Jack paced the room, teeth clenched, screaming in frustration. Haley begged Ashley to come home, to leave before it was too late. But Ashley, trapped in a cycle of hope and fear, refused. Despite the abuse, Jack celebrated his 23rd birthday with his family as if nothing had happened. His mother and stepfather tried to ease the tension by organizing a family trip to a quiet seaside town. Photos from the trip painted a serene picture: smiles, warm embraces, laughter. Even Ashley's parents, unaware of the severity of the abuse, were comforted by the images, but the calm was short-lived. Arguments resumed in late January. Jack hurled objects at Ashley: candles, a TV remote, while she was on another desperate video call with Haley. Ashley's sister begged her to leave, and this time Ashley nearly agreed. But again, the hope that Jack's love would save him held her back. Jack oscillated between cruelty and remorse. He accused Ashley of cheating, assaulted her, and then apologized. His guilt seemed genuine, but it never stopped the cycle of abuse. Ashley's family worried deeply, sensing the danger but unsure how to intervene from thousands of miles away. On the morning of February 1st, 2022, the situation reached a tragic climax. Jack accused Ashley of hiding relationships and spying. On his phone, he demanded to see all her messages. The neighbors heard her screams echoing through the walls. A woman named Helen, who lived nearby, saw Ashley bleeding and frightened. Ashley explained that Jack had found nude pictures on her phone and become violently angry. Helen urged Ashley to leave and seek help, but Ashley, trapped in love and fear, refused. She returned to Jack's apartment, where the final horror unfolded. Between las 11:22 a.m. and 12:45 p.m., Jack's rage exploded. He attacked Ashley, strangling her until she lost consciousness. Then, armed with an 11-centimeter knife, he stabbed her repeatedly over 100 times, ending her young life in brutal fashion. After the murder, Jack calmly changed his social media profile to a picture of the two of them, captioned "Always Mine." He recorded a video, never sent, in which he confessed his love and apologized, claiming his mind was broken. Back in Canada, Ashley's family was flooded with unanswered messages. They reached out to mutual friends and local church members in Chelmsford, desperate for news. 2 friends knocked on Jack's door, but he never answered. The police were called but arrived too late. Jack confessed to his sister Nadia, showing her Ashley's lifeless body. The police arrested him, covered in blood, and he was taken to Chelmsford prison to await trial. The cold, grey walls of Chelmsford Crown Court seemed to echo with the heavy silence that filled the courtroom. The trial of Jack Sapple was about to begin, a moment that would bring clarity to Ashley Wadsworth's tragic death, but also reveal dark truths about a man who had hidden his violent nature behind a charming facade. Jack's appearance in court shocked many who had followed the story. His heavily tattooed face, once seen as rebellious but harmless, now seemed menacing. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Jack looked calm, almost resigned, sitting silently next to his defense attorney as the judge took his seat. The courtroom was packed with Ashley's family, friends, church members, and the media. The air was thick with emotion, grief, anger, confusion, and a desperate need for justice. Ashley's parents, Kenneth and Christy Wadsworth, sat together, holding hands tightly. Haley, Ashley's older sister, wiped tears as the prosecution began its opening statement. The prosecutor, Simon Spence, painted a vivid picture of the young woman's life, a bright, outgoing girl who had been full of dreams and hope, traveling thousands of miles to meet the man she thought she loved. He spoke of Jack's dark past, his history of violence, and the controlling behavior that had terrorized Ashley during her stay in England. Evidence was presented, starting with the disturbing messages Ashley sent to her family and friends from Jack's phone in the final hours, the secret profile she maintained, documenting abuse and fear, was revealed. Photos of bruises and cuts, heartbreaking videos, and texts pleading for help painted a grim reality. The videotape of Jack confessing to the murder, recorded moments after the crime, shocked the courtroom. His calm admission and disturbing words underscored the horror of the act. "I couldn't let her go," he said in the video. "My head wasn't working right." Jack's defense attorney attempted to argue that Jack had suffered a psychotic episode, influenced by mental health struggles and medication. Psychiatric evaluations were introduced, confirming that while Jack had mental health issues, he was still fit to stand trial and understand the consequences of his actions. Throughout the trial, Ashley's family listened as details of Jack's criminal record emerged. Arrests for stalking, kidnapping, unlawful confinement, and multiple restraining orders showed a pattern of dangerous behavior. Ashley's parents were devastated to learn that the man they trusted had been hiding this violent past. The court heard testimony from neighbors, friends, and church members. Many described Jack's possessive and controlling nature, how he isolated Ashley from her support network and manipulated her emotions. Friends spoke of Ashley's bravery in trying to maintain contact with them despite Jack's interference. One witness, a close church friend of Ashley's, tearfully described the secret conversations where Ashley expressed fear but also hope that Jack could change. She wanted to believe in him, the friend said. She hoped love would save them both. The defense tried to humanize Jack, presenting moments of kindness and vulnerability, but the overwhelming evidence of cruelty and violence overshadowed these attempts. On September 7, 2022, after days of emotional testimony and legal arguments, Judge Edward Murray delivered the verdict. Jack Sapple was found guilty of murder. The courtroom fell silent, the weight of the decision sinking in. Sentencing was swift. Given Jack's confession and the brutality of the crime, the judge imposed a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 23 years. The sentence reflected the seriousness of the offense, but left Ashley's family with a painful reminder that justice could not bring their daughter back. In the weeks following the trial, Jack wrote a letter to Ashley's family. In it, he expressed remorse, acknowledging the pain he had caused and the irreparable loss. He blamed his mental health struggles for the tragedy, but took full responsibility. The letter was released to the media, a haunting reminder of the cost of unchecked violence. Ashley's parents, though broken by grief, found some solace in the justice served. They began speaking publicly about the dangers of online relationships and domestic abuse, hoping to prevent similar tragedies. The community around Chelmsford and Vernon rallied to support Ashley's memory. Memorials were held, funds raised for domestic violence charities, and awareness campaigns launched. Her story became a powerful, painful lesson about love, control, and the devastating consequences when fear replaces trust. The shockwave from Ashley's tragic death and Jack's arrest rippled far beyond the courtroom walls. As the news spread through both Vernon, Canada, and Chelmsford, England, it stirred painful questions about how a young, hopeful girl could fall victim to someone she thought she loved. For Ashley's family, life had changed forever. Kenneth and Christy Wadsworth were haunted by memories and haunted by unanswered questions. How had they missed the signs? Could they have stopped the tragedy? Their once joyful home now carried the heavy weight of sorrow. Haley, Ashley's older sister, struggled to cope with the loss. The pain of losing her sister, mixed with guilt for not being able to protect her, was nearly unbearable. But Haley channeled her grief into action. She became determined to raise awareness about domestic abuse and the dangers hidden in online relationships. The community in Vernon was devastated. Ashley had been well known and loved by many. Her cheerful personality and love for life were remembered at candlelight vigils and memorials. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers came together to share stories and memories, trying to find some comfort in unity. Meanwhile, in Chelmsford, the neighborhood where Jack had lived was shaken. His violent act left a dark stain on the quiet community. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones about the man they thought they knew but who had hidden a dangerous secret. Local churches, including the one Ashley had recently joined, held special services to pray for healing and justice. Ashley's faith had been an important part of her life, and many found strength in remembering her courage and spirit, as the trial had revealed. Jack's history was far from clean. His childhood had been troubled, marked by strained family relationships and early brushes with the law. Though he appeared charming and fun online, those close to him knew of his dark side, his anger, jealousy, and aggression that often spiraled out of control. Mental health experts debated whether Jack's struggles could have been treated or prevented. Was there a way to help him before his violent tendencies turned deadly? These questions stirred conversations in courts, clinics, and communities. Ashley's story became a catalyst for change. Domestic violence charities saw increased donations, and volunteers inspired by her courage. Awareness campaigns highlighted warning signs, controlling behavior, jealousy, isolation, and encouraged victims to seek help. The dangers of online relationships, especially for young people, became a hot topic. Experts warned about the risks of trusting strangers behind screens and urged families to have open conversations with their children about internet safety. Ashley's friends shared the secret messages and photos she had hidden, showing the reality behind the smiles and selfies. These revelations helped dismantle the illusion of a perfect romance, replacing it with a cautionary tale of manipulation and abuse. Through the pain, Ashley's family found moments of hope. They worked with local organizations to establish scholarships in her name, helping young women pursue education and independence. Her legacy grew beyond the tragedy, touching lives and inspiring change. Jack's time in prison began under heavy security. His days were filled with routine, reflection, and regret. While the sentence ensured he would be behind bars for decades, the scars left on Ashley's family and community would last much longer. The media continued to follow the story closely. Documentaries, podcasts, and articles explored the many facets of the case, the psychological, social, and legal aspects. Interviews with experts and survivors brought new awareness and understanding. Ashley's story was a stark reminder that love can sometimes mask danger, and that vigilance and support are essential. It showed how trust can be weaponized, and how courage is needed not only to survive but to break the silence. The initial shock of Ashley's death began to settle into a painful reality as more and more pieces of the puzzle emerged. Behind the seemingly perfect online romance was a deeper, darker story, one of control, fear, and heartbreak that had been quietly unfolding for years. Ashley's friends and family started to open up about the signs they had missed or ignored. At first, Jack had seemed charming, attentive, and caring. The ideal boyfriend who sent gifts and sweet messages from across the ocean. But over time, that charming mask had slipped, revealing a man whose jealousy and anger were frightening. One friend recalled how Jack's messages to Ashley became demanding and controlling. He wanted to know where she was at all times, who she was talking to, and what she was doing online. When Ashley blocked him or stopped responding, he would create new accounts or use his sister to send messages. This digital stalking left Ashley feeling trapped. Ashley's family grew, increasingly concerned as they noticed bruises and scratches she tried to hide. They pleaded with her to come home, but Ashley was torn between love, hope, and fear. Her loyalty to Jack made her blind to the abuse, and she insisted he was a good person deep down. The church friends who met Ashley in Chelmsford described her as warm and strong, but increasingly isolated. They saw how Jack tried to keep her away from church and friends, controlling who she talked to and what she did. Despite their efforts to help, Ashley's situation worsened. The secret social media profile Ashley created was a heartbreaking window into her reality. Photos of bruises, screenshots of angry messages, and desperate pleas for help painted a picture of a young woman struggling to survive. It was a cry for help no one fully heard in time. Experts who reviewed the case pointed to classic signs of domestic abuse: control, isolation, manipulation, and cycles of violence, followed by apologies and affection. Jack's jealousy was extreme, fueled by insecurity and possibly untreated mental health issues. His violent outbursts escalated over time, culminating in the fatal attack. The legal system also came under scrutiny. How had Jack, with a long record of violent and controlling behavior, been allowed to remain free? Several restraining orders and arrests had done little to stop his patterns. Victims' advocates called for stronger protections and better resources for those trapped in abusive relationships. Ashley's story sparked conversations about the hidden nature of abuse. It showed how easy it is for a predator to hide behind kindness and charm, especially in online relationships where distance masks reality. Many viewers and readers expressed shock that a girl so full of life could be caught in such a deadly trap. As the investigation unfolded, police revealed more about Jack's past. His childhood had been difficult, marked by loss, family conflicts, and early trouble with the law. Despite his struggles, he had managed to maintain a facade that fooled many. Interviews with those who knew Jack painted a complex picture. Some described him as charismatic and fun, others as volatile and dangerous. Friends and family members recounted episodes of aggression and threats, but also moments of regret and vulnerability. Psychologists explained how abusers often cycle through phases: love bombing, control, abuse, and remorse, trapping victims in a confusing and painful pattern. Jack's behavior fit this pattern perfectly, making it difficult for Ashley to break free despite her growing fear. The media coverage also highlighted the impact of social media on relationships. While the internet connected Ashley and Jack, it also became a tool for control and surveillance. The story served as a warning about the potential dangers lurking behind the screens. Support groups for abuse. Survivors saw a surge in calls and messages after Ashley's story went public. Many victims recognized their own experiences in her story and found courage to seek help. The tragedy became a catalyst for change and support. Ashley's family started working closely with domestic violence organizations to promote education and prevention. They shared her story openly, hoping to save others from similar fates. Memorial scholarships in Ashley's name aim to empower young women to build safe and independent lives. Despite the heartbreak, Ashley's legacy grew stronger. She became a symbol of courage and hope, reminding the world that even in the darkest times, voices can be heard and change is possible. The months leading up to Ashley's tragic death were marked by increasing tension, fear, and despair. What had started as a hopeful reunion quickly devolved into a nightmare that no one could stop. When Ashley arrived in the UK, she was filled with excitement and dreams. Meeting Jack in person after years of virtual connection was a moment she had longed for. But it soon became clear that the man she had loved online was not the same in reality. Jack's charming and attentive side began to fade, replaced by mood swings, anger, and controlling behavior. The once affectionate texts turned into accusations and demands. Jack's jealousy grew more dangerous, and Ashley found herself walking on eggshells. Ashley's isolation deepened. Jack refused to let her attend church services or meet with new friends, especially those from her religious community. His refusal was disguised as protectiveness, but it was a clear attempt to keep her under his control. Despite this, Ashley tried to maintain connections with friends through secret messages. But Jack's paranoia was growing. He checked her phone, demanded passwords, and accused her of talking to other men. The digital chains tightened, and Ashley's freedom slipped away. The small kitten they adopted, Winston, became a silent witness to the growing tension. The joy the pet brought was overshadowed by Jack's outbursts, sometimes violent, sometimes cold and distant. Ashley clung to moments of happiness, but the fear was always lurking. One chilling incident revealed the depths of Jack's instability. After a night of excessive drinking and drug use, Jack took an overdose of anti-anxiety medication. Ashley rushed him to the hospital, becoming his reluctant caregiver during his recovery. This role reversed their relationship, placing even more pressure on her. The violence escalated. Jack's anger boiled over on multiple occasions. Glasses smashed over Ashley's head, candles thrown, phones destroyed. These violent episodes were terrifying. But Jack's apologies afterward and promises to change gave Ashley hope. Her family and friends begged her to return home, fearing for her safety, but Ashley remained convinced she could help Jack heal. Her love was a dangerous hope that blinded her to the growing threat. The emotional and physical abuse left Ashley deeply scarred. She documented her bruises and injuries in secret, using a hidden profile online to reach out for help. But the help came too late. In the weeks before her death, Jack's controlling behavior peaked. He demanded access to all of Ashley's social media accounts, checked her messages, and accused her of infidelity without cause. His trust was broken beyond repair, and his jealousy was a powder keg. Neighbors began to hear screams and cries through shared walls. One neighbor, Helen Borton-Shaw, heard Ashley in distress and tried to intervene. Ashley showed her injuries. but begged her not to call the police, fearing Jack's wrath. Despite these warning signs, Ashley stayed, trapped by love, fear, and the hope that things would improve. Her family's calls and messages went unanswered as Jack ignored them, hiding the truth behind a facade of normalcy. On the morning of February 1st, 2022, the nightmare reached its terrible conclusion. Jack, consumed by rage and paranoia, accused Ashley of betrayal. His anger exploded violently. He strangled her until she lost consciousness, then stabbed her over 100 times with a kitchen knife. The brutality was shocking, a final act of control and violence that ended Ashley's young life. After the murder, Jack posted on social media with a haunting caption, "Always mine." He recorded a video expressing love and regret, revealing his disturbed mind. Police arrived shortly after, called by Ashley's desperate friends and family. They found Jack covered in blood, confessing to the crime. The horror was undeniable, and Jack was arrested without resistance. The trial that followed exposed the full extent of Jack's troubled past and violent nature. His criminal record showed a pattern of stalking, kidnapping, and assault, with multiple restraining orders ignored. The court heard from Ashley's family, friends, and experts who painted a picture of a toxic, abusive relationship that spiraled out of control. Jack pleaded guilty, acknowledging his crime and mental health struggles. Judge Edward Murray sentenced Jack to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 23 years. Recognizing the severity of the crime and the suffering caused, Ashley's death shocked both communities, the small town in Canada and the neighborhood in Essex. Her story became a painful reminder of the dangers of abusive relationships and the urgent need for awareness and support. The legacy of Ashley's life and death sparked conversations worldwide about domestic violence, mental health, and the importance of protecting vulnerable individuals. Her family's courage in sharing her story helped many victims find hope and strength. The tragic death of Ashley Wadsworth sent shockwaves through both her hometown in Canada and the community in the UK, where she spent her final days. As news spread, a painful silence was broken. Questions arose about how such a horror could happen and what might have been done to prevent it. Ashley's family, devastated and shattered, faced the impossible reality of losing their bright, loving daughter and sister. Kenneth and Christy Wadsworth, along with their older daughter Hayley, were left grappling with grief while searching for answers. The pain was raw, yet they knew their mission was clear: to honor Ashley's memory by speaking out against domestic abuse and raising awareness about the warning signs that can lead to such tragic endings. Immediately following the arrest of Jack Settle, the police began their thorough investigation. Officers combed through the evidence in the apartment, Ashley's bruises, broken belongings, and the chilling video Jack had recorded. They uncovered messages, photos, and records, showing a pattern of abuse, control, and manipulation. The community was stunned by the revelations. Jack, who had hidden behind a facade of charm and charisma online, was revealed to be a man with a violent history and a deeply troubled mind. His past criminal record, including stalking, assault, and unlawful confinement, shocked many who had not known the true extent of his behavior. At the Chelmsford Crown Court, the trial became a focal point for justice. Prosecutor Simon Spence presented a compelling case against Jack, detailing his history of abuse and the evidence surrounding Ashley's death. The prosecution called on experts in domestic violence and mental health, illustrating how Jack's toxic behavior escalated despite warnings from friends and family. Ashley's parents gave heartfelt testimonies, sharing their daughter's hopes, dreams, and the heartbreak of losing her so violently. Haley described the secret messages Ashley had sent, pleading for help, and the anguish of watching her sister's life unravel from afar. Jack's defense team acknowledged his mental health struggles, but emphasized his willingness to plead guilty and accept responsibility. The psychiatric evaluation confirmed that Jack was fit to stand trial, despite his claimed psychotic episode during the crime. The judge's sentence, life imprisonment with a minimum of 23 years before parole consideration, sent a strong message that violence and abuse would not be tolerated. However, the sentence, while just, could never erase the pain or bring Ashley back. Beyond the courtroom, Ashley's story sparked wider discussions about online relationships, especially when young people meet strangers through social media platforms. Experts warned about the dangers of idealizing online personas and the risks of abuse hidden behind screens. Support groups and domestic violence organizations used Ashley's case to raise awareness, encouraging victims to seek help early and educating communities on how to recognize and intervene in abusive situations. Ashley's church community also played a vital role in supporting her family and advocating for change. They organized vigils, fundraisers, and educational events to honor her memory and support survivors of abuse. Meanwhile, the police in both the UK and Canada reviewed their procedures for protecting vulnerable individuals, especially those caught between countries and legal systems. Ashley's case highlighted the need for better communication and resources to prevent similar tragedies. Haley, determined to make a difference, became an advocate for domestic abuse victims. She spoke openly about her sister's struggles, hoping that sharing their story would prevent others from suffering the same fate. Despite the horror, Ashley's life was remembered for its brightness. Friends recalled her laughter, kindness, and passion for life, a young woman who had dreams and a strong spirit. Her story was a cautionary tale, but also a call for hope, change, and healing. As the community healed, Ashley's legacy lived on through education, support, and a renewed commitment to ending abuse. Her family's courage to speak out turned personal tragedy into a force for good, ensuring her name would never be forgotten. After the harrowing trial and the sentencing of Jack Settle, Ashley Wadsworth's family and friends faced the monumental task of rebuilding their lives from the shattered pieces left behind. The courtroom's heavy silence echoed in their hearts. But amidst the sorrow, a quiet strength began to grow, a determination to find healing and purpose in the wake of tragedy. Kenneth and Christy Wadsworth, though overwhelmed with grief, channeled their pain into advocacy. They worked closely with domestic violence organizations in Canada and the UK, sharing Ashley's story publicly to raise awareness about the warning signs of abusive relationships. They participated in community panels, educational seminars, and media interviews, hoping to prevent other families from experiencing similar heartbreak. Haley, Ashley's sister, became a fierce voice for survivors. She volunteered with support groups and helped create resources tailored to young people navigating complex relationships in the digital age. Haley often spoke candidly about the challenges of recognizing abuse when it's hidden behind social media smiles and controlling behaviors masked as affection. The local church, where Ashley had found comfort and community, embraced her family, offering spiritual support and practical help. They organized memorial events celebrating Ashley's vibrant spirit, highlighting her passions from tennis and horseback riding to her love of music and the outdoors. These gatherings became moments of connection, where friends, family, and community members could share memories, grieve together, and find solace. Meanwhile, the tragedy sparked important conversations nationwide about the safety of young women. Traveling abroad to meet partners from online relationships, organizations pushed for improved resources, including counseling and emergency support, to protect vulnerable travelers. Airlines and travel agencies began including safety guidelines for those visiting unfamiliar countries. In Chelmsford, the community felt the impact deeply. Neighbors who had known Jack settle grappled with the dual reality of the man they thought they knew and the dark truth behind closed doors. Local schools integrated lessons on healthy relationships and digital safety, inspired by Ashley's story, to educate the next generation. As months turned into years, Ashley's parents began the difficult process of moving forward without her physical presence but with her memory firmly alive. They started a foundation in her name, dedicated to supporting victims of domestic violence and providing scholarships for young women. Pursuing law and social justice fields Ashley had dreamed of joining. The foundation worked tirelessly, creating partnerships with law enforcement, mental health professionals, and educational institutions. Their mission was clear: to empower survivors, educate communities, and push for policy changes that would offer better protection and support throughout this journey. Ashley's friends stayed close, remembering the girl who was always full of life and laughter. They honored her by living boldly and kindly, committed to spreading the joy and warmth she had shared so freely. The Wadsworth family, while never fully healing from the loss, found a new sense of purpose. Their advocacy and activism transformed grief into action, helping countless others find hope and safety in remembering Ashley. The world was reminded of the devastating impact of domestic abuse, but also the power of resilience, love, and community. Her story was a solemn warning, a call to vigilance, and ultimately a beacon of hope for change.